to snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles, touchdown.
Here he goes. It's Hester. Inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown.
Fields stumbling, trying to cut it back. Justin Fields making magic happen. There goes Fields. Touchdown!
Hurts on first down, fires downfield. It's Deshaun Jackson back in the lineup. Missed the last 7 games, and he will take it 81 yards. A somersault into the end zone. His first touchdown of the season.
You're listening to the Pigskin Project, the world's #1 football podcast. Now, with more insights on all things football, here are your hosts, Ben Hansen and Ryan Matthews. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pigskin Project, where officially meaningful football has started in college, at least. We will go over the preseason here in a second, but we might have to make a change to that intro video. That Caleb clip from the touchdown might have to be it, or something.
When he scores his first real touchdown in the regular season, if it's something good, we'll have to replace it.
Only if it's something good, though. It has to be something fun, because that clip is good.
His first fun touchdown. We'll have to throw it in there.
Anyways, Ben, how are you doing, man? I feel like I haven't asked you that in a couple weeks.
I'm doing good, guys. You gotta stick with me. I got some kind of like head cold going on, so if I like sneeze a lot, yeah, I just think I'm getting worn out, guys. School's about to start. Again, good luck to all the seniors. But I'm doing good. I'm pumped for the football season to start. We're going to talk a little bit about the college season starting this weekend as well. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing good. So the voice that you guys heard in the intro, his name is Vince, if you guys are new. Vince and I are going to be doing our first broadcast this upcoming Friday. So I've got one more work day before I go to fun work, is what I like to, at least consider it. I was talking to my boss about it, and like this, you know what I mean? Because doing a podcast is not easy. Like, as much as people want to say, especially for what we do year round, trying to find content and put it out there just to stay consistent. You saw us kind of take a little bit of breaks here and there this past off season, just because, it's to the point to where, sometimes it's not easy. But I tell people all the time, there's still a passion in it, right? And so the second that passion leaves, that's when it becomes more of a job. And with the podcast as well as broadcasting, so far for me at least, it hasn't hit that point yet to where it seems like a job, and it seems like something that, right now feels like a hobby instead of something I'm getting paid for. And just to preface this, we're not getting paid for the podcast. This is a hobby at this point. We just like to talk ball. That's really it. But yeah, I'm excited. Football's back. It started to cool off here in northern Indiana, to where, I don't know if it did down there, but it was like in the 70s all day today. I know it's not going to last. Next week's going to be super, super warm, but like, man, to get that cool breeze in the air, it's like a reminder, like, hey, it's coming. So, and all together, fantasy draft tomorrow, dude. I hope you're ready, because you're drafting right in front of me. And if you don't do it correctly, I'll capitalize on your mistakes.
Definitely in a couple leagues there. The league Ryan is referring to, those super flex league. Mm-hmm. Super flex leagues, the quarterback's far more valued, so it'll be interesting. The first super flex league we'll go, so we'll see if there's a quarterback on the board that I want to take and pull the trigger at 7. We'll see though.
First round quarterback. Let's see. Anyways, we got a couple points to talk about when it comes to our weekly review, so we'll go ahead and get started with that. The first one is something that I believe everybody thought had already happened. Veteran quarterback Colt McCoy is retiring from the NFL after 12 seasons. This is a headline for some reason. Like I said, it's a really dead point in the year. I guess, do you want to talk about Hard Knocks at all? I forgot to even ask you that before we started. This week was kind of fun, but
Definitely the best one so far.
Absolutely. Let's get to our second point. You can go ahead and announce that to everybody. And then, after that, we'll talk a little bit of Hard Knocks because we've got a discussion immediately afterwards that I want to get to that we'll probably spend a good 15 minutes on or so.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Bo Nix. He's the starting quarterback. Yippee. Good for him. Again, me and Ryan had discussion pre-podcast. It was something to even worth talking about. But again, it was going to be really between him and Stidham, and it was only a matter of time whether he was going to start the season, if he was going to come in week 4, 5, 6, or 7, something around there. But I think the Broncos are going to do the right thing. They invested, a decent amount of capital there, taking him in the first round. And let's be honest, it's not like he's sitting behind a Kirk Cousins like Penix is or something. He's seen how Jared Stidham. So good for him. Starting week 1. Again, I think he will probably be the quarterback that's most likely to surprise people this year. Again, everyone's going to talk about Caleb Williams, as they should, reasonably so. Again, we'll talk about his preseason performance and all that different stuff here in a second. But I think people kind of have forgot about him, and I wasn't super big on Bo Nix. But I think he's going to shock some people this year, and it's going to be fun.
So obviously Caleb's going to start. Jaden Daniels was another quarterback that was named as starter as well. But those are the big headlines, I guess, for this week. That's about it. As far as Hard Knocks goes, I think the one driving point that I got from it is, so I guess, okay, there were rumors coming out saying that Matthew Judon picked the Falcons over the Bears. Okay. Whether that's true or not, still up in the air, but the Bears didn't want to do business with them, according to Hard Knocks, in the middle of everything. Bears did not want to do business and send the 3rd round pick over unless Judon could sign a contract, which I believe is a smart way to go ahead and do it. If you're trading for somebody that's on their last year. For Judon,
yeah,
it's a little bit of a complicated scenario, especially if you're Chicago, where you already traded for Keenan Allen with a 4th round pick, somebody who's on their last year, and contract talks haven't even started yet. When it comes to Judon, you don't want another last year guy coming in unless you're for sure ready to win that Super Bowl, and the Bears aren't in the position right now to do that. No matter what I say, they're probably not going to the Super Bowl. But
there it is, folks. Clip it.
Yeah. So as fun as it was to see that, and Matt can even say something because I was in the car with him and our buddy Alec as well. When the trade had happened, I'm happy that they didn't do it because of the money, right? And one of the points that they said in Hard Knocks was, think about this. We traded a 4th to get back into the 5th round same thing. To draft Austin Booker, which, by the way, again, we'll talk about it shortly. But preseason, he's going really good. It's a lot of fun to watch him develop. But you traded this pick for Booker, and he doesn't have that much, you're not paying him very much. And you could have traded a 3rd for Judon that plays the same position and still had to pay him. So it's a good thing that we didn't do this deal, and it's okay that it fell through. Obviously Judon would have added a lot to this defense, and I don't think that he would have demanded a contract before he played. Cough, cough, Hassan Reddick. But it's a fun idea. Especially since the Bears are looking like a team that's ready to win. But man, it's cool to see everything fall the way that it did in Hard Knocks. But what were your thoughts on it when you watched it as an outsider, not a fan?
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, I think Matthew Judon would have absolutely added to the team. Again, it's the consistent thing we've been talking about that, within the Bears defense this entire time. The big missing piece is whoever's going to be opposite of Montez on that side, because there's really no one. And the hope obviously is Austin Booker becomes that, but right now he isn't. He was, again, a 4th-round rookie.
Not even a starter in college either.
But again, it comes down to the money situation. You don't want to trade for a guy that you don't already have a contract in line with, and you had to refer to exactly what I was going to refer to. You don't want a Giant situation where you go and trade for this aging edge rusher on the last year of his deal and say, we'll trade for him and hopefully we get a contract done with him, and then that not be the case. Because we're seeing that right now currently play out with the Giants. They had traded for him, an aging edge rusher who's on the last year of his deal, who didn't agree to a contract, and now he's already requested a trade, given there's nothing that's come from it quite yet. But again, you don't want to have that same exact situation materialize there in Chicago. And if you weren't able to get that contract done, it wouldn't have been a smart trade. Again, I think you would have added a lot to the defense, because again, now you can't just double Montez Sweat and call it a day. But again, it's a smart move by Poles not pulling that trigger since that contract wasn't done.
Right. Now let's move on to the main discussion, not the main discussion, but one of the main discussions I want to talk about. We could start with the Bears side of things. I mean, there was going to be a lot of hype. Okay, like it or not, there was going to be, mainly because of Hard Knocks, right? So, I mean, this is a team that made a pretty decent amount of moves to be able to improve quick, right? And I mean quick as in, like, the last couple of years. So, I mean, this offense, you've never seen an offense this much, or with this much firepower in Chicago, arguably. I mean, this is a lot of fun for Bears fans, which is why you will see me overreact next week for the Bears schedule predictions, I'm sure. But, I'm just letting you guys know it's going to be an exciting year because there's a lot of hope. There's never been this much hope for Bears fans. However, after hearing the media's reaction, after hearing interviews, countless podcasts, after talking to my dad about it, look, I will be the first person to say it, at least on this podcast. We have to settle down. We have to find a way to, because I understand that, and I'm staying pat, by the way, because I know we talked Bears Titans. They're still winning that game. My thing is this. He's still a rookie quarterback. There will be growing pains. There will be things that he will be not doing correctly. He's not going to be a perfect guy. I do think, compared to the, I guess, stereotypical rookie quarterback, I do think that Caleb is in his own class right now going into the regular season, because he looks more polished and just overall like, wow. But he will be making mistakes. It's okay to be able to do that. As we saw against the Bengals early on, the first 3 drives, I'm not going to say this is entirely his fault. I don't think this is majority his fault. There were plays to where he could have capitalized on it, but as is every single quarterback in the NFL. Not a single quarterback in the NFL is perfect. So when you looked at that game, of course, there's incomplete passes. Of course, there's broken plays, stuff like that, to where it just doesn't end up correct. All of that went silent in the second quarter. And that's why I do think that Caleb's going to be good. He's able to correct it and learn from the mistakes in a quick manner. However, for the love of God, please, it is preseason. Like, I understand everybody's excited to get to the main event of the regular season. Please just settle down, not just with Caleb, but with every rookie quarterback. And then my last point regarding preseason football altogether, Atlanta Falcons, you are officially the dumbest franchise I've ever seen. Sorry.
Yeah, for those who don't know what he's referencing when he says that, they had benched Penix. Not benched him, but like they didn't play Penix in the preseason. And like the only people who don't like play in the preseason are going to be like your starters. So, like, someone like Jalen Hurts hasn't played because he's going to be the starter. Here, give me 1 second here.
I do think that he played. I don't think they played him as much, and they sat him.
No, I don't think he played. Done. Yeah, it was just like I just don't. I just
16
don't.
pass attempts.
My bad. I just don't get why. Like, he's not, unless Kirk gets hurt, he's not going to get any playing time this season. So it doesn't make any sense to not get him these snaps, whether it's, again, given it's preseason and it's not quite the same as a full on, like regular season game. But it just doesn't make any sense as to why they didn't play him more. He's not going to get any snaps, and I'm reluctant to say this, but like, if he does get hurt, which obviously no one hopes that to be the case, he wasn't your starter anyways. So you're not out. Like, again, I'm reluctant to say that. We're not wishing injury on anyone or anything. But if he does get hurt, he wasn't your starting quarterback. It's not like he rolls his ankle and he sprains his ankle and you're out your starting quarterback for the first 2-3 weeks of the season. His plan is not to even play football this season as is. It just didn't make any sense. To the other points, like you were saying, you hit the nail on the head there. We need to pump the brakes. The most important thing about watching the preseason football is enjoying it for what it is, seeing, for me at least, the bottom of the roster guys fighting for spots and not overreacting to either end of the spectrum, either super negatively or super positively. It's super fun to see Caleb Williams ball out, but we also have to remember that these are against second team guys. The first team defense they weren't playing. They weren't on the field. So let's pump the brakes here. It's preseason. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything at all. It's football, and it's super fun for football to be back, and it's super fun to get, again, our hopes up. But we really have to take preseason football for what it is. It's exactly that. It's not a real football game. It's very vanilla offense for the most part. It's very vanilla defense for the most part. Teams don't want to give anything away on tape for a meaningless football game. Again, super fun to be able to see this stuff out of Caleb early, and all the other young quarterbacks, because for the most part they've all looked good. But let's like you were saying, let's pump the brakes a little bit here. Let's see what happens in actual real game. So,
and I mean, obviously the game speed and everything is going to be a lot different. I mean, take it from Justin Fields, who said he expected it to be a lot quicker. It is what it is. But nonetheless, it is okay to be excited. That is what I want to make a point. Even though we're sitting here and saying, please, settle down. It's okay to be excited that football's back. But this isn't, like he said, this is not meaningful football whatsoever.
Yeah.
Your starting quarterbacks that you're seeing are possibly playing against second teamers and second strings, and it's just, it could be different than what we're seeing, and I expect it to be. Caleb, I don't expect Caleb to be, firing on all cylinders, looking like Patrick Mahomes, week one, just like everybody's hyping it up
that's
to
what
be.
they're gonna lose. Anyways,
No, I don't expect him to, but I don't, on that point, and I'll get to the rest of my predictions later. He doesn't have to with this team. That is why I think it'll be fine. Matt coming on here saying preseason doesn't matter unless you noticeably suck. That is
the only.
Yeah.
Again, the only preseason is super fun to watch again. For if you take it for what it is, right? Like, I always enjoy the preseason football because you get to see the guys who are the 53rd guy on the roster, the dude who's the 54th guy trying to make, the roster, and seeing these backup guys and seeing the guys who may make the 53 man that's not going to get a lot of playing time. And that's what I enjoy preseason for. But it's meaningless, guys. It really is. Again, unless they absolutely suck.
I'll even say this: it doesn't matter if they suck. It doesn't.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll say.
Look at Jordan Love. It doesn't matter. It's not a representation of what they will be or can be. In 2022, the year prior to when he became a starter, Week 1 preseason, although he threw for 2 touchdowns, he still threw for 3 interceptions. And look at the amount of scrutiny that Trey Lance is under for throwing a bunch of interceptions. Like, I'm not saying that Trey Lance is the next Jordan Love, but I'm just saying, like, let's see, he only threw for 113 yards and 1 touchdown against the Saints the week after that. I'm just using Jordan Love as an example because he was a backup then, and he was still sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, still learning. But then the very next year, he's able to go ahead and take those first snaps as a starter. And I'm not saying he played spectacular by any means against the Bears, and by all means, he didn't start off hot in his first half of his first starter year, but like, it doesn't mean anything. It's preseason. And notice, like, this could be another thing too. I'm sorry, I'll let you. This is just one more point. Preseason is a time to try things out. Quarterbacks might be trying to fit the ball into windows that they might not even make during normal games. There are rookie quarterbacks and stuff like that, or backups that are trying to make rosters and stuff that are trying to showcase their talents, and that's a different thing. But like, if you're a starter, for example, or like a second string, and you have your spot solidified, like Jordan Love, for example, somebody that they used high draft capital on, like, they're trying to fit it. They could be trying new things out with that. And that's another thing. It's their practice reps. It's a scrimmage, people. Like, it's not that hard to process. I don't know.
I'll say the reason I do think it matters a little bit more if they noticeably suck is because, like, if Caleb Williams went out there and he got another 3 drives, and again, it's important to not overreact on either spectrum there, but he went out there and got another 3 drives and didn't look good, I would be concerned, because these are all second teamers. And I think that's why it's different if someone noticeably sucks, is because if you're not playing well against people that, again, are, on the fringe of the 53 there and aren't playing well already, what does that mean for you when you are going to be the starter, let's say, again, in Caleb Williams' case, and you are playing against, again, starting caliber NFL players? That's when I think it does get a little concerning, given, again, just because you have 1 or 2 bad preseason games does not mean you're going to have a bad career. But I think that's when the alarm bells do start going off. But again, it's important to not overreact on either end of the spectrum.
Yes. Yeah, no, exactly. So just kind of settle down, okay? If you want to watch meaningful football and overreact to that, college football starts this weekend, and we will talk about that as well. But first, we have our first team to discuss for scheduled predictions this week.
You think you know football? Well, prove it. This is Pigskin Pick'em.
All right, here we go. Browns. What do you have for us, Ben? I'll let you start off with this.
Yes. I'll start with this. There's not many things about the Browns that stand out to me either negatively or positively. Again, not going to touch on the whole Deshaun thing, but there's not many things that again, stand out super positively or super negatively to me. That's going to be reflective in my schedule prediction here. The best part of their team would have been Nick Chubb, but we don't know how he's going to bounce back. What's up?
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Do you think your moral compass affects the way that you look at the Browns?
Probably a little bit. Like, I mean, if we're being 100% honest, probably a little bit. But it's okay. Your wide receiver 2 is Jerry Jeudy. That doesn't blow me away. Again, your best part of your offense is Nick Chubb, and he's a almost 30-year-old running back who's coming off of his second severe injury.
Dude almost lost his leg, if I remember correctly, right?
Dude almost lost it. Like, again, like, it's just like he's coming off a gruesome leg injury. Their defense is fun, but there's not, like, you're going to need a little bit more than that, right? And again, that's going to be reflective. I'm not going to say they're going to have this awful season or anything, and we'll get into it. They start off playing the Cowboys at home. They're going to lose. They play the Jags in Jacksonville. They will win that one. They play the Giants at home. No shocker. The Browns are going to win that one. They play the Raiders out there in Las Vegas. Browns are going to win. They play the Commanders at the Commanders. Browns are going to win. They play in Philly. Should not be shocked when I say the Eagles are going to win. You're probably not going to have them win because you're insane. They play the Bengals. Bengals are going to win. They play the Ravens at home. Ravens are going to win. They play the Chargers at home. Browns are going to win. They play the Saints. Buddy Matt did this one for you. Saints are going to win. Then they play the Steelers at home. Browns are going to win. They play the Broncos in Denver. Browns are going to win. Then I'll make it nice and easy. Their last 5 games, they're going to lose all of them. They play the Steelers. They're going to lose. They play the Chiefs. They're going to lose. They play the Bengals. They lose. Dolphins. They lose. And Ravens. They lose. That last 5 game skid is just not going to be good. You go into that last 5 games being 8-4, and you have a whole bunch of hope that maybe this team is going to make the playoffs, and you're not going to. You're going to end the season below 500. You're going to go 8-9. You're going to be a middle of the pack team, just like their roster, nice in middle of the pack. Again, their defense is fun, but I need to see a little bit more on their offense again, especially when your best weapon is a 30-year-old running back coming off his second gruesome leg injury.
Matt with a comment before I get started. He said, Browns are coming off a #1 defensive season and brought everyone back, and that's not a positive. I will allow you.
No, again, their defense is fun, and I don't think they're going to be the #1 defense this year. I've already said that numerous times in the podcast.
Stop Bears.
I don't even think it's going to be the Bears.
I'm just messing with you. It's fine.
I know. I don't think they're going to be the #1 defense that they were last year. But again, the big part is there's nothing on that offense that blows me away. And if there's nothing on that offense that blows me away, how are you going to compete with a team like the Dolphins that are going to have to score a lot of points to win games? Whether we like it or not, the Chiefs know how to score a lot of points when they have to score a lot of points. Like, there's nothing on that offense that excites me. There's nothing on that offense that really gets me going. And for that reason, you're going to win 8 games. Your defense is good, but your defense isn't going to win you 10, 11, 12, 13 games if your offense is going to sit on their hands and do absolutely nothing. Again, we'll have to see it. I like Amari Cooper. He's fun. I'm still not fully sold on David Njoku being that guy. He had a fun season last year, but
that wasn't
he's never really strung. he's never really strung together like these amazing elite tight end seasons. And that wasn't with Deshaun Watson either. So we'll have to see how that connection develops as well. So we'll see.
So before I get started here, just going to go ahead and put this guy on.
He's going to have like 13 games.
So they signed my man Dante Foreman. And although he's not very high on the depth chart right now, I think that he's a big piece. I understand that he had a pretty decent neck injury early on in training camp, but it's precautionary at this point. It's a lot better than what they had expected. But anyways, he'll be fine. And one point that I want to make, despite the fact that Nick Chubb is not playing, they always find a way to get that run game still going well. And they did add a piece to that wide receiver core in Jerry Jeudy, although he doesn't jump off the paper anymore. I mean, I'm hoping for their sake that adds a little bit of flavor to the offense as well, especially for Deshaun Watson that is not doing what Deshaun Watson normally does. And I just don't believe in wishing ill intent on any player. So despite what my moral compass has to say, I don't endorse anything that he's accused of. However, that is something that I'm hoping for. Okay. Going into this, I will say that the Cowboys will lose to Cleveland in week 1. So Cleveland will be taking home the W. Actually, just winning at home, actually. They'll actually beat the Jaguars as well in Jacksonville. They'll beat the Giants in New York or at home, and then they will lose to the Raiders in Vegas. I don't know why I think that they will lose to the Raiders. I just think that this is one of those Browns trap games where it's like you should absolutely be winning here, but you're not because you're Cleveland.
Minshew, by the way, has been named the official starter for not that that matters because no one cares.
Minshew
but
mania in Vegas.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Then they'll march on to Washington and take the W there. They are going to lose to the Philly in Philly.
Wow.
And then an interesting tidbit that I looked up and discovered: Joe Burrow has a 1-5 record against the Browns all time. For that reason, Browns are going to sweep the Bengals this year. So
I know how you feel about the Bengals. If you don't listen to last week's podcast,
yeah, I mean Jamar's looking for $40 million a year reportedly, so that's crazy. 4-year deal worth $160 million would be insane. Anyways, they'll lose against Baltimore. They'll beat the Chargers. They will beat the Saints, beat the Steelers at home, beat the Broncos. They will lose to the Steelers in Pittsburgh. I'll be honest with you. I think they're going to split with Pittsburgh just because normally they do anyways. That rivalry is always pretty good. And to be honest with you, if I were to redo my schedule predictions, I'd probably flip it for whatever reason because it's kind of like the Cowboys and Eagles that always flip it. Whoever's home loses.
Yes.
So it's an interesting rivalry as well. They'll lose to the Chiefs just because Patrick Mahomes. They will beat the Bengals, lose to the Dolphins, then lose to the Ravens. I have them finishing 10-7. And once we get on to our next team, the Ravens, right now, that is going to make things interesting. I'm going to go ahead and continue. If you don't mind, I'll start us off with the Ravens just so I can continue that point. The Ravens will beat the Chiefs, beat the Raiders, lose to the Cowboys, beat the Bills, which, by the way, I do not think the Bills are going to be finishing high at all for anybody that missed that episode. Lose to the Bengals just because Joe Burrow has a 3-4 record against the Ravens. And I just think that the Bengals will pull at least one out. They'll beat the Commanders, beat the Bucks, lose to the Browns, beat the Broncos, beat the Bengals, lose to the Steelers, beat the Chargers, lose to the Eagles, beat the Giants, beat the Steelers, lose to the Texans, lose to the Browns. Wait, did I have that right? No, beat the Browns. So I also have the Ravens finishing at 10-7, but the reason why that is significant is because that Browns game, in my mind.
Oh my goodness! Pause. Not to cut you off here, I actually have the Browns beating the Ravens in their home matchup, and I messed that up in the schedule prediction. So I actually have them going 9-8.
Okay.
Anyways.
I appreciate you correcting that. My storyline ending for this season for the Browns and Ravens in that storybook ending is that's for the division in week 18. So both teams will be still playing their starters because both teams finished 10-7 and the Ravens need the tiebreaker because earlier on that year, the Browns had already beat them. But in this case, actually, hold on a minute. The Browns might have a better record in the division. Let's see. Because they beat the Bengals twice. They beat the Steelers once. And then they beat the Ravens once. So what's that? 4-2 against the division compared to the Ravens that finished, in my mind, let's see. 1, 2, 3. 3-3. So the Browns end up winning the division anyway. So this is to get into the playoffs for the Ravens. Yeah. So interesting. The Browns will still play their starters in that point, I believe. Just because if you remember back to last week, I also have the Steelers going 10-7. Just because wait. Was that the Steelers or was that the Commanders? Yeah, the Steelers. And the Steelers, let's see. They 1, 2, 3. Ooh. They also went 3-3 in the division. So the thing is, I don't know.
It's always a bloodbath in this division. That's why it was a great pick for them to be on the Hard Knocks in season, by the way. For those who don't know, in season Hard Knocks is following everyone in this division.
In the AFC North, yeah. So it'll be interesting, but yeah, that's what I have the Ravens finishing at 10-7 as well. So I've got 3 teams finishing 10-7s, and then 7-10, the opposite for the Bengals, because screw Cincinnati this year, they're not that great.
I guess. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Baltimore,
No,
what do you got?
I wish I had an exciting end to the season as you do. That's not the case though for me. Week 1 against the Chiefs, they win. Week 2 against the Raiders, they win. Week 3 against the Cowboys, they win. Week 4 against the Bills, they win. Here's where it gets a little fun. Week 5 against the Bengals, they finally get their first loss, starting off 4-1. Awesome start for them. Then they play the Commanders, they win. They play the Bucks, they win. This was the game that I had messed up on the Browns schedule. But they go to Cleveland. They do lose. The Browns win. Congratulations. Then they play the Broncos. They win. They play the Bengals. They win. They play the Steelers. They do lose to the Steelers. And then they go to LA. And this is going to be the game that I want to watch. I don't think we touched on it when we went over the Cardinals or the Chargers schedule. But it's going to be the battle of the brothers again. Jim versus John. And I think Jim is going to pull it out. I just think Jim wants this more than what John does. He is just going to make sure that he and the Chargers win this game. So the Chargers beat the Ravens in the Harbaugh Bowl. They play the Eagles. They win. They play the Giants. They win. They play the Ravens. They play the Steelers. They win. They play Texans. There we go. They finally have another loss in the season, and they don't have many. And then they round up the season against the Browns with a victory. Head into the playoffs at 12-5, which I think might be the best record. I should do better keeping track about that.
It's cool. I'd take,
yeah.
That's the best record in the division for you, I believe.
Well, in the division, but I'm talking about the AFC in general.
Ooh. Actually, no, you had the Bengals at 12-5 as well.
Oh, look at that.
Let me see it. You just keep saying what you were going to say, and I'll count up the win total. See who's the NFC or AFC North champs for you.
Yeah. So I just have them going 12-5, which might get them the first seed. We'll see. Maybe. As Ryan's counting. So maybe it will be an electric end to the season, as we would have hoped, as much as Ryan's is.
2,
not
3.
being a big fan of Bengals. Again, if you guys don't know how Ryan feels about the Bengals, I really don't want to spoil it too much. He's already said enough. He has them going 7-10. Go back, listen to that podcast. I do not agree with him, but please let us know. And then next week we round it off. But we do have 2 more teams to go over this week. How are we doing, Ryan?
Both teams finished 3-3 in the division, so I don't know how to calculate the tiebreaker. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting, but yeah, you do get a storybook ending, just like mine.
Yeah.
It's just not a 3-way tie, but it is pretty good. So there you go. I'm interested to see where you're at with the Vikings now. I'll have you start off this one. That way I could see where we're at, because I do feel like we should be at the same level for this one.
I will say, you guys will see what I have at the end of all of this with the Vikings record. I think if any team is going to surprise people this year, I think it will be the Vikings. I think we look at the quarterback situation, and we're all down on the Vikings as I am as well. We'll see what the record is here in just a second. But if any team is going to come out and surprise people this year, I think it's going to be the Vikings. Sam Darnold might shock some people, and so why he was taken there in the first round.
Bless you.
Thank you. Anyways, week 1 against the Giants, they get a victory. They're not going to have many of those, but they do start off hot. Good for them. They play the Niners, they lose. Play the Texans, lose. To be frank, it's going to be a lot easier for me to tell you once they win their next game. So they lose to the Texans, Niners, Packers, Jets, Lions, Rams, and Colts. So they go on a nice little streak after winning their first game where they just don't win anything. They do win back-to-back games against the Jags and the Titans. I'm sure that's going to make Ryan so happy to know that I have the Vikings beating the Titans, but the Bears don't. Besides the point, this will make you happy. They do play the Bears. They will lose. The Bears will win, and I'll say this: the Bears win both games. They sweep the Vikings this year. That might have caught you off guard.
Yeah.
They lose the Bears. They lose the Cardinals. They lose the Falcons. Play the Bears again. As I just said, the Bears are going to sweep them. Bear down. And then they play they play the Seahawks. They beat the Seahawks. Congratulations. You guys got another win this season. And then they lose the last 2 games of the season against the Packers and Lions, finishing at a whopping 4-13. It's going to give them a nice high draft pick. They won't have to worry about taking a quarterback because the guy they took in the first round last year is going to be waiting in the wing, ready to start. They're going to be able to take whoever the best player is on the board with them, not named quarterback. It's going to be fun. But like I said, this might be, I think, the surprise team. I think we're writing them off. Again, I can't say much because I have them going 4-13, but if any team's going to shock some people, I think it's going to be the Vikings.
Yeah. That's awesome that you say that, and I'll tell you why. They'll beat the Giants, then they won't win another game until they play the Rams, which means they lose against the 49ers, Texans, Packers, Jets, Lions. They'll beat the Rams. We disagree on this one, so I'm going to kind of clarify as to why I believe that. Obviously, the Rams lost one of their biggest assets on defense in Aaron Donald this year. I understand that they did make strides on defense in terms of what they did with their first couple draft picks. However, I believe the Vikings did as well. They have my favorite edge rusher in the draft in Dallas Turner. I do think they'll be able to get to Matthew Stafford in time and at least keep up with the Rams on the offensive end. So because of that, hey, by the way, they still have Aaron Jones. So keep that in mind. But anyways.
Doesn't move the needle for me.
So yeah, I have them beating the Rams. They'll lose to the Colts, which you should be surprised at that.
Wow.
But then they'll lose to the Jaguars as well. The thing is this: we keep predicting the Jaguars to lose in all of this. They cannot lose every single matchup.
They
so
can't
it's
lose
like
every game.
Yeah. They beat the Titans. They lose to the Bears, lose to the Cardinals, lose to the Falcons, lose to the Bears, beat the Seahawks, lose to the Packers, lose to the Lions. Guess what? We have the same record, 4-13 on the year for the Vikings.
That is so funny.
Miserable Minnesota is what I like to call them. I
You
don't
were
expect
so
them.
close to having the same exact. That would have been crazy if we had the
Every
same
single
exact. Yeah, and I was close to doing the Jags winning the Rams. Yeah, it would have been fun. Anyway.
Yeah. Next up, the Lions. Very excited for this team in 2024. Despite the fact that I have to watch my Bears play them twice a year. This is a fun team to keep track of. But if you watch Receiver at all on Netflix?
I did. Yeah, Amon-Ra's fantastic.
Okay, see, I'm the exact opposite. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is like the Jason Tatum of the NFL, and I hate the guy.
My gosh.
So that's where I'm at. But anyways, I'll let you start off with the Lions as well.
Oh yeah, I'll start off with the Lions. Ironically, I have them like eerily similar with the Ravens. Record-wise, the way the season's kind of goes for them as well. Swear I'm not doing it on purpose either. Just like I had them with the Ravens, I have them winning their first 4 games against the Rams, Bucks, Cardinals, and Seahawks, and then losing that 5th game to the Cowboys. Again, didn't do that one on purpose. And then I do have them beating both the Vikings and Titans there, losing to the Packers, losing to the Texans, losing to the Jaguars. You just touched on it. We can't have the Jaguars lose every game. So you go on a little bit of a skid there midseason, again, losing to the Packers, Texans, and Jags. Then they beat the Colts, beat the Bears, beat the Packers, beat the Bills. I'll give you this one. They will lose to the Bears at home. Given they're in Detroit, they are a cold weather team. They're in a dome. There's not, like, as someone who's experienced it firsthand, Bears weather's not something fun to deal with. It's not.
You have the games
sitting
flipped,
in the
by the
cold.
way. They play in Chicago first, but I'll still take the win. Don't get me wrong.
I'll still give you the win. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, again, this seems like one of those teams that, like, I originally did have them beating the Bears both times, and then I thought back to last year, and I was like,
Feels almost.
They did, yeah. They did keep very competitive games there.
Both of them too. But
yes,
you have
that's
them.
what I'm saying.
I want to say the Thanksgiving matchup is going to be the most fun one. That's the one that you have them. I think they play them at home on Thanksgiving. Let me see. Yes, at home, and then it's in Chicago. Oh, you're right. I am so sorry. I flipped them. No, wait.
Oh, yes.
No, yeah. Nope. Yeah, you're right. So it's in Chicago, for the second matchup. So yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Wow. Anyways,
so my cold weather point
Chicago.
still stands then, guys. Again, there's something to playing out in that Bears weather. You can't feel your toes, you can't feel your fingers. Yeah, you get punched and it just lingers there for 5 to 10 minutes. For what reason? I couldn't tell you. There's really something to the Bears weather. And again,
I never wanted to drink warm Gatorade, but now I do.
They kept those games very close last year. And as much as that's a big talking point for you as to why they're going to be well, I'm not quite there yet. But they did keep those games close, and if they could keep those games close with Fields, I wouldn't be shocked if they can pull one of them out with a better roster and a better quarterback this year. So I will have the Lions losing in Chicago. I do have them finishing the season with 2 extra, the last 2 games as wins against the Niners and Vikings. As we've talked about numerous times on the podcast, the Niners are really, I don't know what's going on there. Trent Williams wants a new contract. There's a whole Ayuk stuff. Some people aren't sold on Purdy. Don't know who that could be, guys. But some people aren't sold on Purdy. So I'm going to have the Lions win this one. And to be frank, the Lions probably should have won that playoff game.
They should have.
Anyways, I have them, again, swear I'm not doing this on purpose. I have them finishing with the same exact record that the Ravens did at 12-5.
All right, so at least we're close there. I have them beating the Rams, beating the Bucks, beating the Cardinals, beating the Seahawks, losing to the Cowboys, beating the Vikings, beating the Titans, losing to the Packers, losing to the Texans. So the first 9 weeks, we have the exact same result. And then I have them beating the Jaguars, beating the Colts, beating the Bears, losing to the Packers, beating the Bills, losing to the Bears. So we have them splitting as well. Just both of us. That's good. I have them losing to the 49ers. And to be honest with you, I considered switching it before we even got to that one, just because they should have won that game. However, I mean, at this point, I'm expecting Ayuk to stay with the 49ers. So I'm saying, still, I'm not shocked about this. And then beating the Vikings, finishing 11-6.
There you go.
And now we've only got 1 week left before our schedule prediction is finished. So next week we'll be covering the Bears and Packers, the greatest rivalry in football. You
guys heard it here first, by the way. Ryan loves Brock Purdy. Ryan thinks Brock Purdy's going to win the MVP. He basically said that just a second ago, guys. No. Don't listen to what he's saying. Just listen to me. Don't listen to him. Ryan thinks Brock Purdy is amazing. Don't listen to what Ryan's going to tell you. Just go off of what I tell you. Ryan tells you. All right, guys.
I want to look this up really quick. Just because, I don't think he was that good, right? There's no way he was that good.
This guy over here loves Brock Purdy. Just Trust me when I say it, guys. Ryan doesn't know.
Um,
Ryan doesn't know yet that he loves Brock Purdy, all right?
he's a product of the offense. That's it. Rex Grossman threw for 3,100 yards once. That was cool. And
you were
he still
not
went to the Super Bowl.
comparing Rex Grossman to Brock
Maybe I am.
Purdy.
Maybe I
Oh
am.
my gosh. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to my favorite segment that's back.
Hey,
guys.
all I got to say is they have Josh Dobbs now. Brock Purdy should be looking behind his shoulder at this point.
No, we'll do this. We're back to phase 1 of the Josh Dobbs cycle, guys. Josh Dobbs gets excited, and we're like, Josh Dobbs?
Josh Dobbs. Pasternak? Is he back?
Pasternak?
He is.
We're back in phase 1 of the Josh Dobbs cycle right now. Don't
Go get
let
traded.
it fool
It'll be
you.
fine.
Yeah. Don't let it fool you here, guys.
They wanted stability at quarterback finally. You know what I mean? They had Garoppolo,
Guys,
then they had Purdy, and it's like, hey, listen, this Josh Dobbs guy is pretty good. You know, like Minnesota, you kind of crashed out because Jefferson wasn't there for very long out of the season. And,
could we see
you know, maybe
Josh
if we just don't
Dobbs
hand him a playbook,
back
it'll be fine.
to the Vikings?
Dobbs. I heard DTR is getting rumored, by the way.
Oh my gosh. For those who are new to the podcast, y'all do not understand how excited I would be if I got that notification on my phone. I love DTR to my soul, guys. DTR was, you guys were not around. For those who were not around for the DTR stuff last year, I can't put it into words. That's all I'm gonna
Where's
say.
Kellen Mond at? I want Kellen Mond back. Bring Kellen Mond back. Anyways, all right. College football is back, guys. This Saturday. We're talking literally 3 days. Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday. It's here. Florida State versus Georgia Tech in Dublin. So it's going to be a pretty early game, 11 a.m. start time, an hour before normal college football starts next week. So, you know, that one's the big game just because Florida State is ranked. This is going to be the first like kickoff of the year, and I have to work for it. So that sucks. But I will probably be trying to watch. Then we've got Montana State at New Mexico at 3, SMU at Nevada at 7, and then Delaware State at Hawaii. And that's a 10:59 p.m. start time. All of these times are in Central. So obviously, Ben, are you staying up until midnight for Hawaii football, or what's going on?
Okay. Without
You're
the
tempted,
Pac-12,
I know it.
Don't. Okay, without Pac-12 after dark, guys. there's a little bit. I might, because Pac-12 after dark does not exist anymore. So I might have to stay up and watch Delaware State versus Hawaii. And just because I can, guys, we're going to do this real quick. Well, why is it not working?
Pro football isn't the only game in town. Let's take a stroll to Ben's College Corner.
There we go.
I had to, and to be frank, we had talked about changing the intro. It might be about time. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how you're feeling. It might be time to cut the Ben part off of that, Ryan. It might be time to just be college corner.
College corner.
Right? You're getting into it. This is going to be, we might have to. You're getting into it this year, as you should. We're going to throw him up, not because of the comment, but because of what he had said to us before. And maybe he's saying this. So if I'm already outing your take, Matt, I am sorry. But OSU is going to be great this year. They have a fantastic wide receiver in Jeremiah Smith, who, again, if I'm outing your take, I apologize. But for him to win, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins the Blitnikoff. Again, that's courtesy of Matt. That's Matt's take. I'm just going to second that. I'm going to trail that there. But this is the season for you to start getting into it, bud. I mean, OSU is going to be good this year. I have 2 bets going right now. It's OSU to win the national championship or Oregon to win the national championship. Obviously, I prefer it to be Oregon. I'd make more money that way, and also I wouldn't have to deal with Michigan winning it and then the following year OSU winning it, which would not be fun. Nonetheless, yeah, football is back, man. As you said, the first game is really the only, I don't say fun one, but is really the only like big one is the Florida State versus Georgia Tech. Given Florida State's gonna smack them. I mean, Florida State's a top 10 team. Georgia Tech has been relevant for a very long time. But it's fun. I'm excited that we even have the chance to talk about it. And then the following week will be when we really dive into it. That's where we really start to get good games like Notre Dame versus Texas A&M, a game in which I already have money on as well. But just really quickly, for those who have not seen the top 25, that is like the AP top 25 that have come out, it's pretty chalk stuff here. The only thing that makes me mad, and you know what, I'll go ahead and screen share just for, just so people can see what it looks like here.
I have a tidbit, or not a tidbit, but a conversation I'd like to start after you talk about the top 25 because it's about the top 25. So
yeah. So this is the one we're worried about. The one here on the left, the one on the right is the coaches poll. The AP top 25 is the one that people follow. That's the one that like everyone usually references throughout the entire season. And some pretty chalk stuff here at the top with Georgia, OSU, Oregon, Texas, Bama. But then it's when we get down here to 8 already. I already have an issue with Penn State being there at 8. And it goes back to Drew Aller. Drew Aller does not move the needle for me. Now, they have two really good running backs there at Penn State, and they continue to pump out these like freak edge rushers. They have another one, Abdul Carter, for those who don't know. He's just another spitting image of these freak edge rushers that like are built in the lab. Like, I'm not fully convinced that they aren't just cloning the same person over and over and over again. But Penn State at 8 seems way too high for me. James Franklin has never really been able to ever reach whatever we would have hoped him to get to. And Drew Aller does not move the needle for me. We love to see Utah here. Utah does not get enough representation with their 7-year quarterback, Cam Rising. People forget he already exists. I'd be shocked if Tennessee is 15 by the season ends. I think they'll probably be a little bit higher. K-State. We love the K-State representation. And then I know a couple years ago, people were really excited for Texas A&M with that recruiting class and everything. I think Texas A&M will probably finish higher than 20. A lot of that stems from my opinions on Connor Wakeman. If you guys don't know Connor Wakeman, again, he's their quarterback who plays there. He has some amazing tools, amazing traits. The big issue was he only played 3 college games last year. He ended up getting hurt, and one of them was not a very good game for him at all. But he has all the traits, he has all the tools, and they still do a great job at recruiting. So I think they're going to finish a lot higher than 20. And then Arizona is just going to be a fun team to watch. They have a great wide receiver, a great cornerback there on the outside. And then I don't really have many words for these guys outside of NC State. Go Grayson McCaw if you know, you know.
So, go ahead and bring that back up for me, will you?
Yeah, I can pull that back up.
What I wanted to do actually last week was go over the top 25 just because it would take forever to go through every single team that I'm excited to watch. And the just out of the top 25, I wanted to give you guys basically, this is coming from somebody who is the most casual college football fan.
It's changing this year, guys.
It's changing this year. I'm trying my hardest to get back into it, or not get back into it, but get into it more so I don't have to sit here in silence while Ben is doing his college corner. Basically, yeah, I just wanted to give you out of the top 25. There are some teams that I wanted to talk about that kind of make me excited for this year. And, so there's the first one that I really want to talk about. Obviously, look, I'm going to stay away from the obvious. look, I'm excited for Ohio State, but it makes me mad that
Could we get Brutus up here? By the way, is there a chance? Can we get him on the screen here? I don't know if he's.
You want the stuffed
easily
animal
accessible.
Brutus, or
Yeah.
do you want the statue Brutus?
No, we want either one works. We just
I could figure that out. Let me talk about
Brutus.
that. Hold on.
Yeah.
What is it? Oh my god. Jeopardy music.
Guys, this is fantastic. Elite guys, if this isn't just the best podcasting you guys have ever seen in your entire life, yeah, like right here, elite podcast. Thank you guys. Sorry guys. If you guys aren't, if you guys are audio listeners only, if you guys are audio listeners only, this would be a portion that you guys would have had to just go over to YouTube, go ahead and rewatch at the what's the minute mark here? Probably like the 55-ish minute mark. But it's fantastic. If you're audio listeners, it's worth going and watching the video for what just happened.
Not only that, but what I just did was a reference to something we did like 2 years ago, something like that.
Like right when we started the podcast.
Yeah. So, anyways, what I was gonna say, I'm not a fan of Will Howard. I'm not. I'll just go out and say it.
Oh yeah, he lost his job. I mean, he was gonna be the backup if he stayed at Kent State or K-State. Sorry, like Avery Johnson is just a better quarterback. I hate to say it, but he would have been the backup if he stayed at K-State.
Yeah,
hate to say
it sucks. That's why I almost wanted to steer clear of Ohio State, just because it makes me mad. Obviously, I'm excited about it, and there's opportunity to be able to win a national championship. I'll change my tone.
Michigan run game.
Yeah. So that's yeah, it'll be exciting. But who I wanted to talk about in order from highest rank to lowest rank. Believe it or not a single team. Oh, no, I'm sorry. One team is in the top 15. Okay. Which makes it fun. A fun conversation, right? Because obviously you're thinking casual fan. He's going to talk about top 10 teams as far as, oh, man, these teams are good. I can't wait to watch them. Florida State's the only top 15 team that I am excited about. The reason why is the transfer, man, the big story of the offseason. Forgive me, I don't remember how to pronounce his name properly, so I'll let you do it. Yep. So I'm very excited to see him play for the Seminoles, especially because this is a team that is coming out for revenge. This team is very hungry. They want to get back to where they were last year. Obviously, it's a sad story. I'm not going to bring it up. If you know, you know. Yes. But I'm excited for it just because it's always a fun team. And to be honest with you, from what I've seen, when Florida State's competitive, man, college football's good. That's one thing. Yeah. Next up on the list. So this has more sentiment behind it than anything. Or sentimental value, whatever. Oklahoma State. That is my next one. So I'm excited for their run game. But I'm also really excited. This is like if I were to have a second team, this will probably be what it is. If it wasn't Ohio State and if I had to pick like an underdog, it would probably be them. The reason why is because I have family out in Oklahoma that doesn't, they're a couple hours away from where campus is. So whenever I go down, it's always wow, I could go to an OK State game. That'd be a lot of fun. But not only that, but their schedule is going to be a lot of fun. They play Utah, Kansas State, And so those are like the ranked right now, teams that they will play. Another one that I'm looking forward to is the game against Arkansas. Baylor's going to be a lot of fun. Arizona State, Texas Tech, obviously Colorado is the team that everybody's kind of looking at. It's going to be a fun schedule altogether. And like I said, this is just a list of teams that I'm excited to watch, as it is my first real season of not just watching Ohio State football, but everything that I can get my hands on.
Yeah.
Next up, Texas A&M. You can't miss out on Texas A&M.
Oh.
I'm very, very excited about Texas A&M. Obviously, every game that they have a homestand for, it's a fun one. And not only that, they play Notre Dame right off the rip. That one's going to be a lot of fun. Just because Notre Dame's going to Notre Dame. I forgot to mention, I guess I am a little bit excited for Notre Dame because I broadcasted for one of their starting linebackers, Drake Bowen. So that is another player specifically, if I were to say, that I'm going to be watching. But Texas A&M, looking at their schedule, every game against Florida is going to be fun. Missouri, they're playing LSU, and then Texas to round off everything. It's going to be fun.
I'll say this: if you're a University of Texas fan, you're going to want to plug your ears, and you're not going to want to hear what I'm going to say here.
I was going to say it
again, as we've already established. Well, I don't know what you were going to say, but the best quarterback in Texas plays for Texas A&M. I know there's a lot of people that like Quinn Ewers. Matt, I'm sorry, I've said it before. The best quarterback in Texas plays for Texas A&M. Quinn Ewers, he's good. Nothing against Quinn Ewers. I am telling you guys, if you do not know who Connor Wakeman is, please just watch a few games of him because he will be big this year. I almost put money on him winning the Heisman just because I could. Anyways.
My next team is USC. So this team, obviously, yes, it's Caleb's team, right? Like that's where he came from. One of the players that I guess I'm watching for, this is strictly just out of spite, just because the amount of trash talk that the media wanted to put on Caleb because Miller Moss performed well. That's one thing that I'm watching for. It's like, all right, here we go. You've got a season. Show me. By all means, prove media right, because God knows they are geniuses, right? Yeah, by all means. Miller Moss, go for it. But not only that, I've been going over schedules, and that's one of them that's a lot of fun, right? Matt, I will answer your question here in a sec, okay? But oh God, let me do more research. Actually, I'm just now reading.
No, I'll answer it. I'll answer it. I was gonna talk about it. For those who did not see Matt's question, again, this is directed at Ryan, but I'll answer it anyways. He said, "Who's your sleeper? An unranked team? This is directed at Ryan. You, a casual fan, you think is going to be ranked by the end of the year?"
Can I wait? Let me say it.
Yeah.
Let me say.
Oh, I didn't think you had an answer, but yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna say Tulane.
Tulane.
I'm just kidding. No, go ahead.
Boise State. It's Boise State. I wouldn't be shocked, and I won't. Obviously, again, I am confident in Oregon and everything that Oregon brings to the table and everything. But after week 2, when we see Boise State play against Oregon, we will start talking about Boise State more, and we will start giving them the respect that they deserve, like they had 10 years ago. Again, you have the transfer quarterback from USC. Again, we live in a day and age that if you're a 5-star or a high 4-star and you're not starting right away, you're going to transfer out. Malachi Nelson, if those who don't know, again, that's who I'm referring to. But the big thing about Boise State, as I was talking about with OSU, in their run game with Judkins and Henderson, Boise State might have the best running back in the entire country in Ashton Gentry. He is absolutely fantastic. I would not be surprised if he runs for 2,000 yards this year. And I'm not trying to over-exaggerate when I say that. Ashton Gentry is an absolute dog. And worst comes to worst, Malachi Nelson isn't what we hoped. All he has to do is pull his JJ McCarthy and catch the snap and turn around and hand it to Ashton Gentry. by week 5, 6, 7, I'm telling you guys, Boise State's going to be ranked. After that game against Oregon, we'll start having the conversation about him again. And Boise State football will be restored to the glory that they once were.
I think I have my pick. So Boise State's yours. I am going to pick the Iowa State Cyclones.
Cyclones?
That's my sleeper team. Looking at their schedule as well. So obviously week 2 you got Iowa. That's the 25th ranked team, right? Yeah, that's the 25th
Iowa is ranked at 25.
Which a lot of teams are going to be rotating in and out. I expect Iowa to still be in the top 25 come week 2.
I don't know.
But I think Iowa State's going to be the team to knock them out because of that loss in week 2. But looking at the rest of it, Houston, Baylor, UCF, which is another team I almost picked. Then they've got Kansas, they've got Cincinnati in between Kansas and Utah, and then Kansas State to top everything off. I'm going with Iowa State. I think they'll be ranked by the end of it. But yeah, there we go. That makes me feel good. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's fun. I hope I'm making you guys proud with this list. But anyways, so yeah, back to USC. Like I said, so with their schedule, they're playing LSU week 1. So LSU obviously is going to be a fun team. They're playing Michigan week 3. They'll play Penn State later on. Obviously, you're going to be looking at the final 2 weeks if you are on that team just strictly off of rivalry. Those are the top 2 games that you definitely want to win at the end of the year, with the rivalry against UCLA and then Notre Dame as well. With Notre Dame being how Notre Dame is, I wouldn't be shocked if USC wins this game, just because Notre Dame going to Notre Dame. So that's my second to last team. My last team that I want to talk about, in the most casual football fan way. This is, like I said, this is strictly based off of casual, football scene. NC State. That's the final pick.
Grayson McCall.
Exactly. That's who I wanted to talk about. I'm very excited about him. I do feel like it's going to be a fun season for them. Not only that, but looking at their schedule, Tennessee week 2 is going to be a lot of fun. I'm hoping that they can keep up at least. But I want them to win that game. Like, this is the team that I will be rooting for, in part because Matt's going there. And I want him to have a good year with his team. But I also, overall, it's just a fun team to root for. Looking at everything else, Tennessee, Clemson, and then the rest of their schedule is just fun. Wake Forest, Syracuse, California, Stanford, Duke, Georgia Tech, North Carolina. Like, watch this team. Watch them go up the rankings and let them be fun. I don't know. Those are just a handful of teams that I'm looking forward to watching this year. And then my sleeper pick right in the middle with Iowa State. That's what we got.
If you guys aren't familiar with Grayson McCall, as I talked about with Connor Wakeman, please familiarize yourself with him. I understand why you wouldn't be. He is transferring in from Coastal Carolina. Go Chanticleers. But he is so much fun to watch. He's been around. I think he is a redshirt senior this year. I remember texting Matt about him when we were seniors in high school. He is so much fun to watch. The big issue and the reason why he didn't get the name recognition he probably deserves was because he played in like this awful gimmicky triple option offense there at Coastal that again doesn't really move the needle for most people. But now he's going to a higher profile school that doesn't run this awful triple option offense, and he's going to really put on display the type of quarterback that he can be. Grayson McCall is a lot of fun. Again, familiarize yourself with him. Like Ryan was saying, familiarize yourself with NC State as a whole. College football is back, guys.
It's officially back, and I cannot wait. Hopefully, I'll have enough time during the day to be able to. Why is this happening?
Yes.
What is going on? So I'm gonna show you this just because it happened last week.
Is it Weddle?
It is. And spoiler alert, we're playing Weddle, or at least we're going to try to. This happened last
I
week.
can always pull it up. Yeah, all right. So that had happened when I had pulled mine up on my phone. But you just gotta.
It's not hard mode, so that's fine. But it's just like
no.
I don't want hard mode to be spoiled.
In the top left corner there, left, click games. Click daily hard.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll
and now go back. Well, no. No, click the game again and go to daily normal.
Okay. Was it just a glitch? It's not even.
It's been doing. I don't know. It could be a Pittsburgh player.
It is. Yeah. It's.
It could be a Pittsburgh player, but like that's the fix that I found.
I appreciate
it. Is
hopefully
it is a little upsetting though.
At least they got rid of the ads everywhere. That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, let's go ahead and start. I'm sorry, not playing the draft this week, but we'll be playing this. I used my first guess, I guess, on George Pickens, so you can go ahead and top it off.
Justin Fields.
Yeah, that's
who it is.
It's unfortunate that it was my guy, but it's fine.
My guy. He's my guy. I guess. I don't know what you're talking
about. Yeah. Anyways, all right. Yeah, it's not like I have 2 of his jerseys in my closet, and then a crew neck that says him. Anyways, all right. We got hard mode. I mean, it's an NFC North guy. All right. Please don't choke. Please don't choke.
That isn't on the defense. Who's 6'6". He's a little bit older, but he's kind of close to 6'6". I apologize, guys. We'll go with TJ Hawkinson.
Hawkinson, not Steve.
Yeah, I know. It's Hawkinson.
It's a tight end.
Come on.
No. I'm trying to think. Because the 2 remaining teams have younger tight ends. So who are the remaining, like the backups? Crap. Dude, come on. Like oh my God.
Help me out here with the guess so I can at least limit
Yeah, no, exactly. Because whatever team that I pick, like it's not Laporta, but there you go. It's the Detroit tight end. Who's the other guy?
Brock Wright.
Like, who's Brock Wright, dude? Really? I'm Googling this. This makes me mad. Who is this guy? Look at this.
He's been their backup. He's been their backup tight end. How do you not know this?
Look at that. You see this guy? This stupid makes me mad.
How do you not know this?
Year. 13 catches and 1 touchdown.
Yeah, he's been their backup tight end now.
Whatever. Brock Wright. Sorry, bud, I don't know you, and I don't want your autograph.
I was really hoping it was going to be him because I have no idea who the backup tight end for the Vikings are. I know it's or I guess it would have been the Packers. I don't know who the backup tight end for the Packers would have been outside of Tucker Kraft. And yeah. Guys, college football.
Back to that.
Yeah, no, make sure you guys come back next week's episode. Again, as Ryan mentioned, Kyle Gagliardi's coming on. And hopefully. And the long-awaited, the very, 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 very long-awaited Bears episode. Just be ready for. Oh my gosh, guys! It's gonna get out of hand. I think I think Ryan is at least starting to come around. Obviously, Ryan is high on his Bears, and we'll get into it next week. But I think Ryan is at least starting to understand my point of view on the Bears a little bit. He still thinks I'm a little crazy,
kind of.
but I think he's understanding where I'm coming from now.
I don't want to put my thoughts on screen until next week. So
Nope.
tune in
Okay.
till next week's podcast.
Yes.
It'll be super fun.
Time dependent. It'll still be Wednesday. Watch out for the tweet. It might be a little earlier. It may be a little earlier than usual. It might be like 15, 30 minutes earlier than what you guys are used to. But it still will be coming out that Wednesday. One more week until we get actual NFL football. College football's back. It's gonna be 2 more weeks. Brian, do you have anything else to close this out with?
Yeah. I'm just excited. There's a lot to be excited for if you're in my shoes.
Yes.
My college football team is good. My Bears team is finally going to be competitive. And it's not going to be something to where you're going to write them off every single week. This is a change of pace. The winds are changing. I don't know how to handle myself. So I just want to say, if I'm not rational next week, take my picks with a grain of salt.
Yes.
Unless you're in Chicago, in which we're going to the Super Bowl, and it's going to be one heck of a year. And I'm hoping to get out to Soldier Field and drink with some of you. So by any means, it's going to be a lot of fun. But yes, which, by the way, I will be drinking responsibly. Because I do not drink that much.
Drinking responsibly as always.
Hey, you never know. We might have the return of a segment next week.
They say winning isn't everything, and that may be true in some cases. But right now, let's make some money. It's time for Pigskin Payout.
Who
knows? Who knows?
Stay tuned. If you guys want to make some money, potentially stay tuned for next week's show. It's going to be a lot of fun. But nonetheless, if you enjoyed this podcast, do us a favor. Subscribe.
Yes, please subscribe.
Don't sign up for anything. We don't need you to sign up for anything. Anything regarding.
Please don't.
Please, for the love of God, don't do that. Anyways. Thank you for listening to the Pigskin Project. We want to thank Uppercuts Grooming, Spotify for Podcasts, and Regional Radio Sports Network for helping us grow as a podcast. If you want to listen to my broadcast this upcoming Friday, we'll be going live at 6 o'clock on Jed TV. You can find us on the web. You can find us on the app, or you can find us online or Facebook at Regional Radio Sports Network on Facebook, or rrsn.com on the watch tab. You'll see KK Valley versus Rensselaer Central. Your boy will be on color commentary with Mr. Vince Gray. It's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. But yeah, you guys can watch the full broadcast and what's going on screen and listen to my analysis live. If you guys are coming from the Pigskin Project and you guys watch my broadcast, do me a solid and leave a comment on the broadcast and say, I'm here from the Pigskin Project. And it'd be really cool if you do that. Mean a lot to me. But nonetheless, we want to give a shout out to those people and companies for helping us grow as a podcast. Nonetheless, we will see you guys next week for next week's episode. That was a horrible.
We'll
see you guys next week.